back to the next strategy. The third strategy talks about who do you want to give your resource of time to. And by that, you will completely change the focus in which you're thinking. So you were thinking lists, priorities, values for now, but now you have to think about people, entities, organizations, whoever takes your attention during the day. Okay, why this point is important? This is important for the reason that oftentimes we don't feel like we are masters of our day. I'll give you an example of this. When you think about the emails that you get each day, people get pulled into those emails as if they're priorities because they get into our mailbox. So in our mind, it is coded that they require our attention. They're somewhere amongst others that are important, okay? So you have to think about all those different aspects of who do you give your attention to. People that are in your life, your family, your work colleagues, your partners, associates, clients, friends, but then also people that you are connected through social media, through the internet. And this is important because when you have decided who is important, when you decided of your values about what is important, what do you really want to do with your time, now you think about who do you want to do it with, okay? So when you think about all those things, people, organizations, entities that are in your life, you can really consider what is really, really low priority for you to spend any attention on. And I'll give you a good example of this that might not quickly come up to your mind when you do this exercise. But when I was working this strategy for myself, when I was developing these steps, I was thinking, wait, there are all these groups on Facebook that I had signed up ages ago. It's been really long time of keeping getting those notifications, even though, for example, I go on Facebook to just connect with people I care about, or for example, to put a post that is related with my business. But then all of a sudden I get bombarded by all those notifications from people that I don't know, don't care about, from the groups I don't even follow actively, but they still come up and they pull my interest because this is how social media are created, that they hook your attention. This is how it works, right? But now when you decide who do you want to give your attention to, who are you willing to give your attention to during the day, or who are you definitely not going to give your attention. And you can also create conditions here, like for example, I know family would be my priority. I know my clients would be my priority. I know that everything else would be less of a priority. I know that I would only get to do certain things if I'm completely relaxed, done with my day, and this is the only condition under which I would be engaged with certain people, groups, entities, and things like that. So here's already where you make another very important decision from a completely different point of view. In this stage, you can also decide if you want notification on your phone, because these are also entities that bombard you with certain information during the day, pull your attention away, and even if it's just 5, 10, 20 seconds, that adds up. And that really adds up when you think about how your mind can get distracted for up to 20 minutes when it gets pulled away from an activity you should be focusing on. I'll give you an example. I have no notifications on my phone. I have only silent notifications on text messages and on calls, and I have do not disturb mode all the time, where only people and only in certain times from my private list, from my private contacts, can access me over the phone. And this is just a group of a handful of people. So actually, you couldn't call me if you wanted to unless you left a voice message and I decided to call you back. That's how it goes. By filtering through different perspective, you are again sharpening your mind in a critical, discerning way where you analyze how have I been spending my time from that perspective. That will open another layer of filtering. Okay, so this is what you can do next with regards of your list or without. Just generally think about your day from that perspective, and again you will see how many things have not been intentional. Here is where you can take charge, make another decision, make another rule for yourself that you are going to follow. And the next time it comes up, I can guarantee you that it's going to be easier for you to switch away from something that you have now decided that is not as a priority for you as you have been doing unintentionally for maybe even years. And that brings me to the stage number 4. And for those of you who are control freaks, it might be a little bit difficult because it was for me. This is under an umbrella of delegating and automating. I know that sometimes you might be thinking, there is no better person to do all the things that I do than I am. I'm the perfectionist. I am the person with the highest standards who can just tackle all the events of my day that I do right now. But I will give you a little bit of an explanation here of how you can look at this. When you think about your business, some decisions of delegating could be obvious. There are things you can you can give to one of your team members, you can hire someone, you can have an assistant if that's the case. But there are also things in a personal life, how you can delegate things. Based on the things that you have decided that are important for you in the first part of the video, I want for you to think, what can you delegate in order to have the time for those things? For example, that meditation I wanted to bring up again. If you have decided that this is important for you and this is a practice that you want to follow, then you can delegate looking after your children half an hour in the morning each day, and therefore you allow yourself free space in which you have the time to do that practice. All of a sudden you have delegated something you thought you were so indispensable, and now not only the thing gets done, so the kids are being fed, you know, someone is looking after them, but also you have the time to do the thing that you wanted to. Another way of looking at it is, what can you really make easier for you? For example, at grocery shopping. some people really find it a pain. Sometimes I do too. And there is such a great invention in our days that is called online shopping. You can simply have a list of things that you always buy because you always eat the same things. Easy. You just some shops even make it so that you just buy again each week the same list of things. You can maybe edit this, but it's very easy and you have it delivered home, and all of a sudden several hours a week gets freed up. And the time that you go and you get distracted and you look at shopping windows and then you think again about all the things you have to buy, but you always buy the same things. Let's be honest, we all do. These are mostly the things that you can automate, you can delegate to the organization that takes care of these things. And things like emails, if you have clients list, if you have people asking about the prices of some of your product or service. And I know people that always type the same email, and I used to be me as well. And now I don't have as much of a problem in this area, but you can have a template, and some services allow you to have a template, pre-written email that you send on repeat, that you send regularly. So have it ready. If not, just have it in your documents. Have a template of what you usually write. Maybe just edit a few things. Don't spare a second thought on something that is pretty regular, pretty neutral. You don't have to spend more time. You can schedule emails up front. You can schedule a lot of things. And by looking at your events of the day and on your activities from that perspective, think about things. What can I honestly delegate? Even if it's just one thing, even if it's just two things, what would make it easier for you in a longer run? What would you be able to gain if you made those decisions? In the last fifth stage, now that you have your list of reasons why you do anything, where you have your priorities, your values, the things that are important, who do you want to give access to you, to your time, to your resources? And now that you have a strategy about what you're going to delegate or automate, the last thing, and I left it specifically to the end because it's the most juicy, is about boundaries. Well, I could talk hours about boundaries, and maybe I will make a special separate video talking about boundaries in a wider sense. But talking about boundaries of time, I will go deeper into giving you an insight and some rules about what you can do. So basically, when you think about what are boundaries, these are kind of sets of rules that you decide up front based on your values, based on what is important for you, based on your intentions, how you want to give the resource of time. How do you want to use that resource when you think about boundaries of time? There are other resources that fall under boundaries, and we will not be talking about them today, but I want you to reflect on do you have any rules at this moment on how you're going to behave in certain times? Have you ever had any boundaries created about your time so far? So now that you know about your values, you have a clear sense of what that is, I want you to design a little bit of rules around this. You could put a rule, a boundary that sounds, for example, If your value is that you want to spend your quality time with family, one of the boundaries could be that maybe when you sit down with family to your meal, nothing and no one can disturb you. Like, you don't take any phone calls, you don't answer any requests, whoever comes. That could be one of the boundaries of your time. If your value and you wanted to put more emphasis on your well-being and maybe health, because in retrospect you've been skipping meals and such, one of the boundaries could be, no matter how busy work gets, I will not skip my meals. I will not skip my lunch. Maybe I can move it or something like that. I will not skip my meal. I know so many people who skip essentials like meals, breaks, for work activities or for someone else when they ask their favor. And really that comes from a lack of boundaries. And when you think about what brings that overwhelm that we spoke about in the first part of this masterclass, this is when you think you don't have control over your time. This is when you lack boundaries. In the ongoing example that I've been using, that time for meditation, where your value have been that you wanted to spend more time on meditation, having it as a regular practice, and you have already delegated maybe the task of looking after your children in the morning to your husband, that your boundary to really round this up could be that people don't interrupt you in this half an hour of your time. You don't answer your phone, you don't check your emails. This is the boundary that you have put on your time. So that really makes the whole exercise rounded up. If you see how the stages have progressed, if you have been following this process all the way through from the first point up until now, you have made your decisions about what is important, what do you do, what you would like to do with your time. You have made up the time by using external resources, maybe asking someone for help, and now you have put the boundary that this is the sacred time for you. And maybe there would be exceptions, like, of course, if there is an emergency, you will help. That's obvious. But you have made up your mind about what is important and you make it happen. So having the boundaries in place, having those rules, those conditions under which something happens, is going to be very important. It's going to bring you that empowerment that you need at the end of the day to feel satisfied about what you have accomplished and why. Sense of accomplishment at the end of the day, it doesn't come from the amount of things you manage to squeeze in the day. No matter how many things you put in, you could still be dissatisfied if you haven't been intentional, if you haven't been putting in boundaries, you haven't planned on what are the rules, what is important for you. It can be just very few things that you have accomplished in the day, and you end up being so satisfied because that was your intention. And this is really what is the whole point of this masterclass, is not to cram in as many things as you can. It's about doing the things that matter, that you get to do the things that are important, that bring you value, that bring impact to your day, to your business, to your personal life, and that you feel happy about yourself, that you don't have to guilt yourself because you have planned this, you have been intentional. This is what really makes you feel happy about your day in the end of the day, you are happy how you have used up your time, what have you been using it on, why you've used it, with whom you've used it, and the things that you have decided not to do with your day. If you decided to take an action, go through these stages with me, remember one thing at the end. Do not allow yourself to get frustrated at the end of the day if this hasn't gone perfectly for you. The most important step is that you allow yourself to let go of any expectations in the end of the day, that you allow yourself to be satisfied with how much you have gotten to do and enjoy the new way of refining this process, enjoy a new way of working with yourself, and give yourself a pat on the shoulder for trying something different. In the next video, I will go even deeper into what subconscious programming drives the habit of procrastination, and it will go even deeper into understanding this subject and into techniques that are more refined, so to speak, that will help you tackle that problem on even deeper level. So for now, practice what I've given you here, try it out, take it for a spin, and I'll see you in the next video.